Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you not to predict a future possibility, but to declare a present reality. I am a millionaire this month, not because I hope to be, not because I work harder than others, not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because I chose to be. There is a great misunderstanding in the world about wealth. People chase it, strive for it, beg for it, even fight for it. But very few realize that wealth is not something you earn. It is something you align with. The treasure is not out there. It is within. I did not wait for the world to recognize me as a millionaire. I became it inwardly, quietly, and faithfully. I changed my inner conversation. I reimagined my identity. I took ownership of a state of being that no one could see yet, and because I persisted in that state, the outer world had no choice but to reflect it. So when I say I am a millionaire this month, I do not speak in future tense. I speak from truth, from awareness, from conscious embodiment. I no longer ask, I no longer wish, I am, and now I invite you to walk with me into this truth, not merely to understand it, but to experience it for yourself. Because what I am today, you can also be. This very moment, consciousness is the only reality. Everything you experience, every gain, every loss, every dollar in your hand or debt in your account, is nothing more than the out-pictured reflection of the state of consciousness you dwell in. If you accept this truth, then you must also accept that your current financial reality is not the cause of your emotions or your beliefs. It is the effect. The cause lies in your self-concept, your assumptions about who you are. To be a millionaire this month, you must begin not with effort, not with hustle, not with external actions, but with a change in awareness. Wealth begins in the mind. It begins when you decide to know yourself as already wealthy, even before the world gives you evidence. And here is the key. Reality does not create your consciousness. Your consciousness creates your reality. So you must not wait for money to feel abundant. You must feel abundant, and then money will reflect that inner state. This is not philosophy or wishful thinking. This is law. Just as a seed placed in fertile soil produces fruit in due time, so too will a deeply assumed identity bear its corresponding fruit in your world. You do not have to know how. You only have to accept the state. The state of millionaire is not a position you earn through years of labor. It is a state of being you assume. That assumption, when made in faith and persisted in, brings forth all the external arrangements to fulfill it. When I began to dwell in the consciousness of wealth, my inner world changed. I no longer asked for proof. I no longer looked at my bank account to define me. Instead, I redefined myself from within. I walked with the quiet inner confidence of someone who already had it. I didn't wait for the outer world to give me permission. I gave it to myself. The world is a mirror, and it reflects not what you want, but what you are conscious of being. If you see yourself as struggling, lacking, hoping, waiting, then your life will confirm it. But the moment you shift and say, I am wealthy, I am already what I desire to be, then a new script begins to write itself. Doors open, opportunities arise, money flows. Not because the world changed randomly, but because you changed. So understand this. If you want to be a millionaire this month, you must first be it in consciousness. You must feel it real, believe it, live it, breathe it, even when there's no sign of it, especially when there's no sign of it, because that's when you show your faith in the unseen, and it is only by faith that you call things into being. You are not here to chase reality. You are here to create it, through consciousness and consciousness alone. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This single act, though invisible to the world, is the seed of every visible change. To assume the feeling of your desire already realized is not merely pretending. It is a conscious movement of being. It is stepping into a state of mind where what you desire is not something you are trying to get, but something you already are, already have, already live. If your goal is to be a millionaire this month, then you must begin to feel now as though it were already true. Ask yourself, how would I feel right now if it were already done? Not next week, not someday, but this moment. Would I feel secure, grateful, relaxed, powerful? Begin to cultivate those feelings within. Let them become familiar. Let them become your new emotional home. You do not assume a wish fulfilled by repeating empty phrases or visualizing for a few minutes each day, only to spend the rest of your time in doubt or fear. You must dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. It must become your dominant vibration, your new normal. When the feeling is real to you inwardly, the outer world becomes its echo. This is not about lying to yourself. This is about recognizing the creative nature of your consciousness. You are not defined by appearances. You define appearances by the quality of your inner state. When you assume the feeling of already being wealthy, the world begins to reflect wealth back to you in ways you could not predict or plan. People, ideas, opportunities, even coincidences begin to arrange themselves in your favor. But here's the key assumption is not wishful thinking. It is living from the end, not merely thinking about the end. When you walk, speak, and carry yourself as if it were already done, you collapse the time between desire and fulfillment. You signal to the universe not that you need it, but that you already have it. And that inner conviction is what draws the outer experience. If doubt creeps in, return to the feeling. If the outer world contradicts you, ignore it. The world is only showing you yesterday's assumptions. Today, you choose a new one, and you persist, even in silence, even when no one believes it with you, because you are not asking the world to confirm your dream. You are confirming it to yourself, and that is where all power lies. Let your assumption become more than a thought. Let it become your identity. I am a millionaire this month is not a hopeful goal. It is your inner knowing. Live from it, and life cannot help but catch up. The outer follows the inner always, and when the inner is consistent, the outer must reflect it, not as a possibility, as fact. Imagination is the creative power, the true architect of your reality. Everything that has ever come into your life, every success, every challenge, every penny gained or lost, was first imagined, either consciously or unconsciously. Most people think imagination is for children or artists, but nothing could be further from the truth. Imagination is divine in function. It is the workshop where all things are born. And if you desire to be a millionaire this month, it must be imagined before it is ever experienced. To imagine is not to daydream passively. It is to deliberately and purposefully construct the inner scene, the mental atmosphere, the emotional tone of your desire fulfilled. It is to see, feel, and hear what would be true if your dream were already fact. This is the creative act. This is where the invisible becomes visible, not through effort, but through inner alignment. When you imagine yourself with the money, living the life, giving freely, enjoying luxuries, feeling at peace, when you do this vividly and repeatedly, you are impressing upon your subconscious the blueprint of your new reality. And the subconscious, without fail, takes that impression and brings it into form. It does not question, it does not reason, it simply creates according to the image you feed it. And your imagination is the tool by which that feeding happens. If you continue to imagine lack, worry, or struggle, even unconsciously, you reinforce the very state you're trying to escape. But the moment you revise that inner picture and hold the image of wealth, success, and ease, you shift your entire energetic signature. The world responds to that shift. It cannot do otherwise. This is why it is not enough to affirm "I am rich," while inwardly imagining unpaid bills and failure. The inner image must match the spoken word. If you say, "I am a millionaire," then close your eyes and see the world as it would be if that were already true. Walk through your home. How does it look? Sit with your bank statement. What number is there? Hear your friends congratulating you. What are they saying? Feel the joy of financial freedom. What does it do to your breath, your posture, your heart? These imagined scenes, when accepted as real, become the mold from which your life is poured. They are not fantasy. They are the first stage of manifestation, and the more real they become to you inwardly, the more quickly they harden into fact. You are not waiting for the world to change. The world is waiting for you to imagine it differently. And once you do, once you dare to believe that your imagination is more powerful than circumstance, you step into the role of creator. You no longer react, you initiate, and in that moment you become unstoppable. Because the one who masters their imagination masters life. Persistence outweighs circumstance. This truth must be engraved upon your mind if you are to manifest anything deliberately, especially something as specific in time, sensitive as becoming a millionaire this month. The world around you may offer resistance. It may appear unchanged for a while. Doubts may arise, and physical evidence may seem to contradict your inner assumption. But none of that matters, not if you persist. Persistence is not blind effort. It is not about working harder or doing more. It is about remaining faithful to the state of the wish fulfilled, no matter what the senses report. You must learn to prioritize your inner world over the outer. You must understand that appearances are only temporary shadows cast by former beliefs. They hold no power unless you give it to them. If you have imagined yourself as a millionaire and assumed the feeling of that reality, then your only task is to persist in that assumption. Hold to it in silence. Return to it in quiet moments. Refuse to let external facts uproot what you have already claimed in consciousness. The world might say, "You're still broke." Your bank account might show 3 digits instead of 7. People might laugh or doubt you, but that's irrelevant. You are not manifesting based on what is. You are manifesting based on what you have chosen to be true within. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is changing. These are the tests of faith. Will you continue to walk as the millionaire even when the world does not yet reflect it? Will you continue to give thanks, to feel joy, to imagine abundance when all seems still? This is the difference between a casual wish and a creative command. Wishing wavers, creation persists. Think of the seed buried in the soil. For days, maybe weeks, there is no visible growth, but the life within it is moving, expanding, establishing root. Your imagined reality works in the same way. You may not see the evidence immediately, but it is unfolding, building, aligning, and if you continue to persist, without trying to force or rush, your physical reality will have no choice but to reorganize itself around your new state. Do not confuse delay with denial. The timeline is not your concern. The form, the method, the who and how, all of that is handled by a power greater than logic. Your role is simple. Remain loyal to the end you've imagined. Walk with it, talk with it, become it inwardly again and again until it becomes natural. This is what true persistence is. When you persist in the feeling of wealth, regardless of outer lack, you become immovable. You become magnetic. You stop chasing and start drawing. Circumstances bend to you, not the other way around, and in time, sometimes suddenly, you will realize the truth you never stopped believing. You are a millionaire this month, just as you claim. You are the operant power. There is no authority outside of you dictating your destiny, no cosmic gatekeeper determining whether or not you can be wealthy, fulfilled, or free. The creative force that shapes your life is not in the economy, not in your job title, not in your background or education. It is in your consciousness, and more specifically, in your assumptions. The truth is this: whatever you accept as true for yourself with feeling and conviction becomes your experience. To be a millionaire this month, you do not need permission from the world. You do not need to wait for better conditions or more favorable timing. You only need to take control of the one thing that governs all else, your inner state. You are not a passive observer of life. You are the one who commands it. Whether you know it or not, you are constantly assuming, imagining, declaring, and feeling yourself into outcomes. The question is not if you are using this power. It is how consciously you are doing so. The outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. It reflects your self-concept, your expectations, and your mental conversations. If you think thoughts of lack, talk about being broke, feel inferior or undeserving, the world will mirror that. But the moment you shift your self-identity, when you truly accept, I am a millionaire this month, and you mean it with emotional certainty, then your world starts bending to accommodate that belief. Not because you manipulated circumstances, but because you operated your own power deliberately. This isn't about arrogance. It's about responsibility. You don't have to control others. You don't have to beg, chase, or compete. You simply take ownership of your inner world. You speak from the end. You feel from the end. You act not to become wealthy, but because you already are. You revise doubts. You correct inner conversations that don't match your vision. When you hear thoughts like, it's not possible, or it's too late, you answer back with your chosen truth, I am already wealthy, I am already in possession of what I desire. This level of awareness is liberation. You stop blaming and start creating. You stop reacting and start assuming. You realize that every outcome, good or bad, has been shaped by something you once accepted within. And from that point forward, you claim the role of the operant power. You don't ask, can this happen? You declare, this is happening because I have imagined it and I have assumed it as real. So when you walk out into the world today, don't wait for signs. Be the sign. Be the person who already lives in the end. Speak as one who knows. Think as one who has. Feel as one who is. And watch how the world, without fail, reflects that inner command. Because you are not hoping to be a millionaire this month, you have already claimed it. And you, the operant power, always manifest what you persistently accept as true. Live from the end, not toward it. This is the essential shift that turns dreams into reality. When you live toward your desire, you see it as separate, distant, still to be earned or achieved. But when you live from your desire, you inhabit the state of already having it. You think, speak, feel, and act as though it were true now, not because you're pretending, but because you understand that state precedes form. Your world always reflects your internal position, never the other way around. To be a millionaire this month, you cannot afford to keep placing your desire in the future. The moment you say, I will be wealthy, you have declared that you are not wealthy yet. And if that is the state you occupy, one of waiting, hoping, or striving, then life will keep offering you more of that state. You will always be almost there, but never quite arriving. That is the trap of living toward the end. Instead, you must choose to live as if it were already done. Right now, you must take up the mindset, the emotion, and the inner posture of someone who already has 1 million in the bank or in their possession. Ask yourself sincerely, if I were a millionaire this very moment, how would I feel? What would I believe about myself? How would I speak to others? How would I walk into a room? How would I respond to challenges or opportunities? Let those answers guide how you move through your day. This is not fantasy. This is creation, because your outer world cannot help but conform to the internal assumptions you faithfully hold. The more natural it becomes to dwell in the end, the faster the world shifts to reflect that end. You're not forcing anything. You're aligning yourself with a version of reality that already exists in potential. You're not chasing it, you're tuning into it. When you live from the end, you no longer feel anxious or impatient. You know it's done. You stop checking for signs. You stop wondering how or when. You simply persist in the naturalness of already being it. That calm inner knowing sends out a silent but powerful signal to life itself, and everything begins to rearrange in your favor. Unexpected opportunities arise, the right people appear, circumstances adjust themselves, not because you made them, but because you became aligned with them. This is what it means to live consciously. You are not reacting to what is. You are creating what is. And creation happens not in the distant future, but in the eternal now. So if you truly desire to be a millionaire this month, then begin living as though it is already true. Let that state shape your imagination, your conversations, your decisions. Don't wait for life to give it to you. Show life who you are, and it will rise to meet you. Because when you live from the end, you don't hope for the outcome. You walk in it. And so, I stand before you not as someone waiting to become, but as someone who has already become. I am a millionaire this month, not because the world declared it, but because I declared it within myself. I did not beg for wealth, I assumed it. I did not chase opportunity, I embodied the state where opportunity finds me. I did not ask the world for permission. I gave myself the authority to decide who I am. You have heard the truth. Consciousness is the only reality. Imagination is the power that shapes it. Assumption is the path. Persistence is the test, and you are the operant power. The moment you begin to live from your desire, as though it is already true, the entire world bends to meet that assumption, not out of magic, but out of law. Now, the question is not whether this power works. It always works. The only question is, what are you assuming now? What reality are you imagining and persisting in, whether by design or by default? Because you are always creating, even in moments of doubt or denial. But the moment you choose consciously, the moment you claim the end, the moment you feel it real, your world must conform. Let this month be the month you stop looking outward and start commanding inward. Let this be the time you no longer chase wealth, but live as wealth. Let this be the moment you fully accept that you are the cause, not the effect. And so I say again, not with hope, not with effort, but with calm certainty, I am a millionaire this month. And because I know it within, life cannot help but reflect it without. It is done.